My name is Tiffany Q, and welcome to my ABRSM Grade 5 Theory Lessons series, where I record snippets of my live lessons with my students. Please note that this is not a substitute for a textbook. If you're preparing for the theory exam, I would still recommend having a teacher to guide you through both the coursework and exam paper preparation. This is the Grade 5 2021 sample paper C. Question 3, keys and scales. The first two questions in this section are about key signatures. They will usually always give you a flats key and then a sharps key, so in any order. Two things that you need to check. The first one is, are the accidentals actually correct? Are they the correct pitches? And then the second thing you need to check is, are the accidentals in the right position? Or is this the right shape for the key signature? Tick one box to show the correctly written key signature of D flat major. D flat major has 5 flats, battle ends, and down goes, in that order. So we can check that first. You can see the first one actually has all of those correct accidentals. B, E, A, D, G. I'm going to put a little dot here. This one, B, E, A, D, G. That's also correct. This one, B, E, D. So that's incorrect already, because the accidentals are not right. This one here, B, E, A, D, G. Interestingly enough, we have 3 sort of examples where the accidentals are in the correct order and they are the correct sort of note, but only one of them is the correct shape. For all the flats, generally they tend to have the B flat, the first flat, sort of in the middle of the stave, and goes up, down, then up, and down. So that's the correct shape for all the flats in every single clef. So we can see that only one of them fits it, and that's the tenor clef. Tick one box to show the correctly written key signature of F sharp major. F sharp has 6 sharps. Father Charles goes down and ends. Now we check. This one in the treble clef. Father Charles, and that's an A, so it should be a G, so that one's incorrect already. This one here, F, C, it's a G, and then that's an A, that's also incorrect. This one, F, C, G, D, A, and E, so those are the correct notes. This one also is the correct notes, F, C, G, D, A, and E. So we have 2 options there. Well, for the shape now, the F sharp usually starts quite high, father, then it goes Charles, goes down, and usually the A is lower. Okay, the A usually goes down. The only exception is the tenor clef. So the tenor clef has a slightly different shape. In fact, here, you see that shape there? That's actually what's meant to look like on the tenor clef, not the alto clef. So for the alto, treble, and bass, it should always be this one here. So this here is the correct shape. For the melody question, we are given 2 bars of a melody with accidentals, and our job is to figure out which key we're in. What I always like to do is to study all the key signatures before I begin. I will write out the key signature of every single key here, and for the minors I will also include the raised 7ths and 6ths. If it's a minor key, the raised 7th will always be there, so that should be the first thing to check when looking at the minor option. The raised 6th may or may not be there. If you look at your question here, and we see a mixture of sharps and flats, chances are that is a minor key, because you wouldn't have a mixture of both in the key signature of a major key. And also, if you see that one note, for example, is an E flat, and then suddenly it becomes an E natural somewhere else, then that's also probably a minor key. Okay, so I'm going to begin by writing out the key signatures here. So F major has one flat, that's a B flat. B flat major has two flats, B flat and E flats. E flat major has three B flats, E flats, and A flats. F minor actually has four flats, and then the raised seventh is an E natural, and the raised sixth, I'm going to put this in brackets because we may or may not see that, is a D natural. I'm doing this on the top of my head, but I would recommend that you can also just easily write out the scale of F minor in your rough work, just to see what the raised sixths and sevenths are. Have the time to do that. And then we study the music. Could it be F major? Well, F major only has one flat, B flat. Everything else is natural. But in the first bar, we already see an E flat. And E flats do not belong in F major, so that's not an option. Next one, B flat major has B flats and E flats, so that ticks off this one, the E flat. And then we also have a B flat here. So that really seems viable. I'm going to put a circle around here, but I'm going to check the other two as well. E flat major has three flats, B, E, and A. So that's the only difference between B flat and E flat majors. So let's take a look at this A flat. I spot here there's an A, but it's an A natural. Okay, so there's no way it can be here because E flat major has an A flat in it. And then F minor, well, first thing to check the raised seventh, E natural. So every single E, I think there's just one E actually. Okay, so there's only one E in this example, and that's an E flat, so it's definitely not F minor either. No need to check anything else if the raised seventh doesn't fit. So that's that one. We'll continue here. E major has 4 sharps. F sharp major has 6. B minor has 2. But the raised 7th is an A sharp. And the raised 6th is a G sharp. And then B major has 5 sharps. Okay, so we continue. Can it be E major? Well, let's check every single accental. Note that we're in the bass clef now. D sharp, yeah, that matches. B natural. Oh, yeah, we see an A sharp here. A sharps do not belong in E major, so that is not it. Let's check F sharp major. Okay, so we've got D sharp, which matches B natural. Okay, A sharp, G sharp, F sharp, C sharp. So far it matches. E, we notice that in F sharp major, E should be a sharp, but it's not a sharp. It's a natural here, so it's also not F sharp major. B minor, well, the first thing we want to check is the raised 7th. Well, we do see an A sharp here, so let's continue. D sharp is the first note. So notice how the D sharp does not belong to B minor. It's neither the raised 6th or 7th, or does it belong to the key signature. It's not that one. So the only one it can be is B major, and you can double check all the notes there. It fits. Okay, continuing. D minor has 1 flat, which is a B flat, and then the raised 6th and 7th. So let's start with the 7th because they are mandatory. The C sharp, and then the raised 6th would be B natural. C minor has 3 flats. The raised 7th is a B natural, and the raised 6th is an A natural. G minor has 2 flats, B flat and E flats. Raised 7th is F sharp, and the raised 6th is E natural. And then E flat major just has 3 flats. Okay, so when we look at the example here, we see a mixture of sharps and flats, so it's probably not this major one. Then we check D minor. For the minors, always check the raised seventh. Is there a C sharp? Nope. Okay, that's not D minor. C minor, is there a B natural anywhere? Well, the only B is this one, and it's a flat, so nope. G minor, is there an F sharp? Yes, there is. And all the other notes belong to the key signatures. So we have a B flat and E flat. We don't have an E natural this time. There's no raised sixth, but don't be surprised if you do see a raised sixth as well. So those are your answers. For question 3.4, they will give you a scale with missing notes. This one is actually slightly trickier than it looks, and I think a lot of people can get quite confused, especially when the clef is not a clef that they're used to seeing. So my advice would be to start off with the scale F sharp harmonic minor. Take a look at the direction the scale is going in, so it's a descending scale. Harmonic minor means you raise the seventh note, going up and going down, so thankfully it doesn't really change either ascending or descending. I'm going to also do my rough work in the treble clef. F sharp harmonic minor has 3 sharps, so I'm going to draw my own scale here, and then I'm going to compare it to their scale. So I'm starting from a high F, and then I'm going all the way down to my lowest F. And I'm going to fill in all the accidentals from the key signature first. F sharp, okay. There's 2 F sharps, because it starts and ends on the same note. C sharp is this one. And then G sharp is down here. And then I raise the 7th, which in this case is this note here, because it's a descending scale. That becomes an E sharp. Then I check. This here, this X, is the second note, descending, which is this note, so that's an E sharp. And then this Y is the second last note going down, which is this note here. So it would be a G sharp. So I did that without having to actually read the tenor clef. You can double check that it matches that note. So that note there would be an E. And then this one here would be this space, and that definitely is where the G is supposed to be. So when we write out a rough work, even if it's in a completely different clef, it actually makes our lives so much easier. 3.5, everybody's favorite question. Minor scales and clefs. Before we do this question, we need to remind ourselves of the 2 types of minor scales. So we have the harmonic minor and the melodic minor. They're not going to tell you which one it is, but be prepared to see both. The harmonic minor, you raise the 7th note going up and going down. Melodic minor, you raise 6 and 7 going up, but on the way down, you lower them again. So if we have a scale going down, a descending scale, it could either have a raised 7th, if it's harmonic, or it could just have nothing except whatever notes are in the key signature for the melodic scale. Go through each of the clefs, and you should know your scales very well by now. I'm going to start with the treble clef, and I know for a fact that there's no such thing as a G flat minor scale. At least we didn't learn it. So if you feel very confident, you can just skip on. The other thing you can do is if you have a keyboard sketch, you can take a look at each one of those notes, and then if you actually took a look at all the tones and semitones, you'd realize that was way off. For example, this to this one here is 3 semitones. This is just 1 semitone. Okay, moving on to the bass clef. B flat minor. B flat minor does definitely exist, so let's entertain that thought. The scale is going up, so there's either a raised 7th or there's a raised 6 and 7. Either way, the 7th is definitely raised going up, because that's the same for the melodic and harmonic scales. Well, B flat minor has 5 flats. Metal ends and down it goes. There we go. So let's just see if those notes match. Well, we have a B flat and B flat here. E flat is there, excellent. A flat, well, it was an A flat, but now it's an A natural, so it's been raised, so that raised 7th is good. D flat, yeah. G flat, yes. Okay, so the fact that this is not raised here shows us that it's a B flat harmonic scale. So we can go ahead and circle that bass clef. Next one, again, start with the treble clef. In the treble clef, this note would be a B sharp, so B sharp minor. No, that's a little dodgy. Okay, move on to the next one, which is the bass clef. If it was the bass clef, that would be a D sharp. So D sharp minor does exist, let's check that out. D sharp minor has 6 sharps. Father Charles goes down and ends. Now since the scale is going down, we either have a raised 7th or we have nothing at all. Okay, so those are our 2 options. So let's check. F sharp, is there an F sharp? No, there's no F sharp even. Alright, so that just tells us it's not D sharp minor, because, you know, the only possibility of a raised note would be this one here. So everything else should really belong to the D signature. Next one, let's try the alto clef. Now, if this was the alto clef, this would be a C sharp minor. Now, for me, because I am not very good at reading the alto or tenor, that's not my natural clefs to use, I'm actually looking at the last note, because I know the last note and the first note will be the same, so there's no need to waste your time sort of trying to figure out what that note is, if it's just kind of, you know, showing it to you there as well. Okay, so C sharp minor. C sharp minor has 4 sharps. Father Charles goes down. Okay, let's double check everything. Same principle applies to the raised 7th. So, F sharp is this one here. C sharp, well, if it's C sharp minor, then these 2 are both C sharps. G sharp is here, and D sharp is here. So it looks like this here is the C sharp melodic minor, descending. Melodic because we don't have any raised 6 or 7s, because on the way up, 6 and 7 would be raised, on the way down, they're reverted back to normal. So this is the reverted back to normal. They will not, by the way, signify it with the natural sign, okay? So they usually don't put natural accidentals there. Next one, let's start with our treble clef again. E flat, well, let's think of E flat minor. E flat minor has 6 flats. Okay, so we're gonna have to take that off. B flat, yeah, we have it there. E, okay. A flat, yes. D flat, okay, well that there should be a D flat, could be a raised 7, so let's have a raised 7 there. Take off the D. G flat, yep. And C flat, yes. So that there is another harmonic minor, E flat harmonic minor in the treble clef. And that's how we do that. So I would really understand my rules in the harmonic and melodic minors, and also know all the names of the minor scales for grade 5 very well, so that when you see a note that seems a bit odd, you know immediately that it can't be that one. Chromatic scales. Ask yourselves the questions. Okay, number 1. Does it start and end on the same note? So this is a B flat, this is an A sharp. They are not the same notes. They're the same pitch, technically, but they're not the same notes. So that already is false. Correctly written chromatic scale? Nope. We don't need to check anything else. Okay, this one here. So bass clef. Does it start and end on the same note? Yes, this is an F, and this here is an F. Are there 13 notes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yes. Does every line and space have at least 1 or 2 notes on it? 1 here, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, 2. So that seems correct so far. And then the final step is to actually check all the notes. So I'm going to check it here against my piano. So that there is a true. Okay, this is the final question, 3.7. Circle true or false for each statement. Now, this is testing you on your technical names. This is the leading note in E flat major. Actually, before we begin, I think it might be a good idea just to write out all the names. I'm going to say 1 is the tonic, 2 supertonic, 3 median, 4 subdominant, 5 dominant, 6 submedian, and 7 leading note. Sometimes they call this the leading tone, by the way, so don't be surprised if you see that. Once you have all the numbers down here, your brain is freed from memorizing this again. So when you see the leading note in E flat major, it's just the 7th note of E flat major. Well, E flat major has 3 flats, B flat, E flat, and A flat. Everything else other than that is a natural, so it would be a D natural. If you don't believe me, or if that is a bit too sort of fast, you can always write out the scale here on a manuscript, just to check that the 7th note is indeed that one, D natural. Okay, so that there is a true. Next one, this is a submediant in D major. Submediant is the 6th note. Okay, well, D major has 2 sharps, F sharp and C sharp, and everything else is a natural. So can you see that it's very obvious that this B flat does not belong to D major? It should really be a B natural. So that there is false. If you read that question wrong and you saw D minor, then it would be true, because D minor has 1 flat and B flat, and that there is a 6th degree. This is the dominant in B flat minor. Okay, we need to figure out what that note is first. Well, it's an A, isn't it? Dominant means the 5th note, B flat minor. Now this one I actually don't even have to check the key of this, because B minor, okay, I'm just going to write a B here. The 5th note should really be an F. F natural, F sharp, F flat, something that's F. So the fact that this is an A already means it's not. Okay, it's definitely not. So that would be false. Sometimes you can check the key signature, and that's quite helpful. You can write out the scale as well. Or sometimes, like the last example, it's quite obvious that that A is not the 5th note of B flat minor. There's no way, because A is down here. It's just 1 note below B, so it must be the leading note.